It's the Crippled Gangstalker Part 26. Here he comes now, the Crippled Gangstalker, and he kicks his leg out wildly as he gets off the bus, almost as if he's a soccer player or maybe he's a punter for a football team, and he's looking to kick a 50-yard field goal with those legs. That's what that just looked like, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Crippled Gangstalker Part 26. And there he goes. The Fort Lauderdale punk. He's probably going to go call his little punk Fort Lauderdale friends, wherever they may be, and see what's going on with them.